Going downstairs uses less energy, does it? I don't know. Good morning, gangsters. Gang. Gang. Good morning, gang. Here we are again. It's Saturday morning in the shop. Do you know what I'm doing? Nothing specifically interesting. I'm going to try and chew through this. This whole thing would be, I guess, a day's work if I had a chance to focus on it and do it all, but that's not how it goes. That's a cool thing about using this iPad as opposed to when I used to do this on the iMac screen. You know, I had a tablet up on the screen. And when you're drawing things, you can, I'm left-handed, so curves this way are easy, but curves the other way are not easy. But here with the iPad, of course, I can just rotate it. When I was doing it up on the screen, I'd do things like, for the curves that go the easy way, you just keep the picture, then you flip it horizontally for the curves that go the other way. So back and forth, flipping it. But with the iPad here, I don't need to do that. I can just rotate the pad itself. That doesn't rotate your view at the bottom of the screen, of course, because that's a wired view. And again, same as yesterday, I'm not sure how many streaks are actually in this hair. I might not make a perfect match with what's on the original. We'll just see what we can see and we'll try and catch something that looks reasonable. Let's get to it. It's Saturday morning today. We're a bit short-handed in the shop today. It'll be Kawai-san and Koizumi-san and me. I have to do shop duty today. I was hoping to sort of spend the day upstairs in rehearsal for the YouTube video, but it's going to be a busy day in the shop, I think, instead. So we'll see. So the current plan for video is rehearsal today and tonight, and then make the video tomorrow morning. We'll see. Still good morning. All these good mornings. Cut and paste. It's going to be another stinky hot day here in Asakusa. Typhoon 12 is gone. Typhoon 13 is on the way. No idea if it's going to hit us or not yet. It's still too far out in the Pacific. And it's going to perhaps be a monster. It's one of these extremely slow-moving typhoons, so far anyway. And with I guess the ocean out there being as hot as it is, that means it picks up a lot of energy. So. It's too soon to say where it's going to go yet. This one ends quite abruptly. I'm not sure how it's supposed to end. So. Japan numbers the typhoons. The weather system people, they all have names. There are names. I know they do the same thing. They're named alphabetically each year from A down, and they use different languages: Indonesian, Malaysian, Vietnamese. You know, because it's Pacific. There's a lot of countries involved. So. In the old days here in Japan, typhoons were named by where they hit. I don't know, before satellite weather and all that kind of stuff, there was lots of typhoons that didn't get seen. Typhoons that might have been in a different area of the Pacific that didn't impact Japan. So Japan didn't even know about them, so it didn't number them in its own system. So historically, we read things like the typhoon, the Ise-wan typhoon or something, the typhoon that hit Ise Bay. So they were named after they hit a specific area or caused a disaster in some specific area. And once you move forward to the era of weather forecasting that shows the whole Pacific, they started numbering them. So Japan still numbers them. The last one that came through was now known here in Japan as typhoon number 12. And the next one's 13. And perhaps the next one, 14, 15, might be in an area of the Philippines or something, but Japan will still number them. That last one, number 12, was the most bizarre typhoon I've ever seen in all the years I've been here. It looped the loop twice. It went the wrong direction. You're supposed to go west to east. It went east to west. And it actually looped the loop when you see its track behind it after it's finished. So let's talk about old videos, the barons in that box. Yes, of course, we're still using them. Barons are lifetime tools, and many of the barons we found in that box, or all the barons we found in our box, are part of our own toolkit now. Some of them are in Ome, so the printers there can use them, and some of them here in Asakusa. It was a real literal treasure trove. Those barons became part of our daily toolkit. And the fact that I got them so relatively inexpensively was just a bonus. Although I didn't think at the time that it was inexpensive, of course. Every single time I change those layers, I paint on the wrong layer first, every single time. That's one. Aini-san being a Baron maker, I know at the moment, she's in the mother business mainly. She is, I believe, taking orders for Barons still. I know, I'm not really sure, I can't advertise for her, whatever, but when she did go off to have the baby, we were chatting with her about this, that you can't really do printing easily, but when the baby's asleep, you can still certainly sit there weaving, Baron, material. And she said, yeah, that's a good idea, but at the moment she's not hanging up a shingle and taking orders. But I think as she moves forward with her life, having a kid around the house, it's a perfect job, Part of the reason she doesn't want to push into that is because planetary, across the whole globe, there's not much call for barons, and she has a responsibility to Goto-san, the guy she learned from. And it's not like she's going to sort of blow him out of the water, but there isn't much market, and she feels that she can't just hang up a shingle and say, here I am, I'm the new world's Baron maker, because she knows she'd get a lot of orders. We know that too. And she doesn't want to, take business away from the guy who taught her how to make these things. So there's a lot of factors in play here. It's not so simple as just saying you're going to do it. If Hong Kong finally gets its own tool venture up and running, we're still, it's just speculation at the moment, but if we ever do, then of course, she would be our number one source for those if she wants to be. For someone like her who can do printing and Baron making, printing is much more lucrative, absolutely. You sit down with a stack of paper, and 10 days or so later, you've got the check, She could earn much more stable income from printing at her level. I'm streaming at 720, yes. Since the hot weather came in, we've learned that streaming at 1080 is just too much for my machine here. So we're streaming at 720 the past week or so, since we had a problem a week or so ago. I could maybe try switching it back to 1080, but at the moment things are going well, and I think the result still looks good on screens, unless you're watching this on some kind of giant wall-mounted video. But at the moment, because of the heat problem here, I'm streaming at 720. We're trying to be really careful with the heat. The computer, we restart the computer before every stream starts. I've got it on feet, it's up off the platform. And please don't ask about the paint bucket. There isn't one on this software. Where to next? The heat, yeah, it's hot, hot, hot. What can I say? And it's not just us. All over the world, the northern hemisphere this year seems to be going crazy with heat waves and fires. Luckily, Japan's geology and the way the structure of the country works, we're not prone to those giant fires that are sweeping many other areas of the world this year. But, the country's still relatively damp enough, and the structure of the forests are different from what you'd see in America, where those fires are, or Greece, or places like that. So hot it is, yes. Fire damage, there really is none of fire risk. We have our own risks: typhoons, earthquakes. But yeah, it's still stinky hot. Every morning's newspaper shows me the records that were broken the day before. 40 degrees here, 41 degrees there, stuff like that. And there's lots of people dying, older people who try to walk too far, who don't drink enough, or stuff like this, heat exhaustion. The news reports and newspapers are full of exhortations from the city hall and the government. Please be careful. Don't push it in the hot sun and stuff. And every city and town has safety zones set up. Air-conditioned rooms in the community center or library or stuff like this for people who don't have access to air conditioning or something like this. Yeah, I'm drinking enough. I'm okay. I'm fine. Also, to our shop here, of course, is air conditioned, and my own home back in Ome isn't air conditioned, but this shop here is. We can't run a shop in downtown Tokyo without having air conditioning, of course. So I'm fine. I'm fine personally. It's okay. The area outside is incredibly hot, but we're here okay. We've talked about it before. We just mindlessly switch on the air conditioner without worrying about where the electricity comes from. Was it hard enough to move in here from Canada? I don't know. What can I say? When I grew up in Canada, things were hot. I grew up part of the way in Edmonton, part in Winnipeg, which are our prairie towns, which have stinky hot, crazy hot summers. Whatever, you don't even think about it when you're a kid. Summer is hot. Winters were really cold. Edmonton and Winnipeg, both bitterly cold places. Winnipeg had huge amounts of snow. It was great fun for a kid. Looking good, I think. How much will stay like this and how much taste will change when I get my knife into these lines. Remember, all this is going to be cut. None of this is the finished product. These are just guidelines for cutting. And the knife has its own movement and its own shape and its own way to run along curves. So although I try at this point to get these curves to look as smooth and as nice as possible, when it gets to the real printmaking, it's the knife that's going to decide what the curves look like. The point here is just to get things as smooth and neat as you can before you start. If they're too rough at this point, then it's just an extra struggle when you're carving. But it's the knife that's going to decide what it all looks like. This is just a guide. Especially the hairlines at the front of the face. We'll get to those in a few minutes after I finish the mass of this here. I was something interesting to mention about this job, this tracing job. I was looking through some of my print material last night, trying to plan for this next video. I keep talking about this video, which never seems to happen. I'm sorry, because I'm really struggling with it. And last night, when I was in the shop trying to get over this barrier of how to wrap this video up, how to write this script plan so that it makes a nice story, and I realized that I'm trying to tell two stories actually at once, and that's why I can't figure out a clear way to get it pictured. So what I did last night was I restructured my story plan into two separate videos. And it seems like it's not going to be the story part A and part B. It's going to be part A to the end and part B to the end overlapping. I finally think I figured out how to present this video. I keep teasing you, but I'm not teasing. I'm struggling with how to get it organized. So please give me a break on this. Anyway, looking through some of the prints I've gathered to try and organize what material goes best into these videos, I was looking at a set of Adachi prints from the 1970s. And it's got listed the craftsmen, the people who carved them, and the people who printed them. And among the printers, at the very bottom of the list of printers, is Kubota Kenichi, who is one of our main printers. Now he's working in his own home doing his printing for the Heroes prints. And he's listed on that list at the very bottom. It's 1971, when he must have just joined the Adachi workshop. Anyway, that's a sidetrack. The point I was trying to say is when I was looking at that list of craftsmen who made the prints, it's got the publisher's name listed, Adachi Toyohisa, the guy who ran Adachi back in those days. And then right below his name, it's got the name of the guy who did the tracing for the Hanshita, Funabashi-san. He did this job for that print set. It was a Hiroshige reproduction of the one they called Omihake, the 8 Views of Lake Biwa. And right next to the publisher's name is the name of the guy who did the tracing. And then below that, they've got the carver's names, the printer's names, then the guy who wrote the story to accompany the prints in the package. So it's interesting. This part of the job is considered, of course, important. In the old days, of course, never. This is just work that's buried inside the general production process. But it's really nice to see in Adachi in the 1970s that Toyohisa-san, the guy who was running it then, felt that it was important enough to mention the guy's name. Or they were good buddies or whatever, I don't know the background to the story. But there it is. Not sure what I'm doing, I lost track of what it was. Look at this conversation. I'm missing most of this, I'm sorry. I didn't get a drink ready. But I've got an empty drink carton. Here we are, an empty Orangina. There we are. Does that cover it? Oh, questions. Oh, question about my daughters. There's a story about all that stuff, but there's tons of information online about those things. I know it's on the woodblock.com website, the newsletter section. There's a newsletter called Hyakunin Issho. And it's got lots of stories about our life and stuff like that, and coming to Japan and things like that. You talk about air conditioning. You realize air conditioning started to help printing companies like ours, right? You know that. We've talked about this before, the air conditioning. My job is responsible for the fact that modern air conditioning exists, right? wasn't a question. Well, the Story Week site, that's interesting in its own right, but that's nothing to do with the kids. The story about our family and our kids and stuff, it's all on the woodblock.com website, I think, somewhere. It's the newsletter section. And there's a story, the series of stories, I think it's called From Halifax to Hammer. It's my mini little autobiography. It talks about our life and before we came to Japan and stuff like that. I've got Trace grey hair. There's obviously longer hair. There's longer shadows here, which have become full of paste. So I don't think you can see them, but they're there. There's a long dark shadow here. There's another one here. This one comes actually much longer. No. Let me go and find it here. I don't have the browser open, so I don't want to. Where are we here? Tuttomate. Okay, here we go. It's an ancient URL, I'm sorry. Okay, this is from an ancient part of the website. This is buried in, this is the newsletter. It's the index to the newsletter. And in the newsletter, there's a couple of stories. One is called Halifax to Hamara. Yeah, has published too much content, yes. Halifax to Hamara is the story about, whatever, everything. Ancient URL indeed, I'm sorry. So I don't know how we're ever going to get that stuff all incorporated into one readable, understandable website. I have no idea. There's just other things to do in life, and probably years from now when I'm gone, somebody else is going to just sort it out, or it'll all just get tossed. I've got no idea. I can't worry about it at this point. If somebody thinks it's worthy of keeping, it'll get kept. If not, it won't be. It doesn't matter. Well, it's not just a question of subdomains. It's the way I designed those websites back in the early days was a bit of a strange idea. Pretty much everything sort of was its own website. So all those sections of the site has a home page and sub pages and its own contact page and stuff like that. It was just a bizarre way to do things. It made sense at the time, but it doesn't make any sense now. And none of it is mobile friendly. It's just a grotesque, collection of junk. It's like an attic. It's like visiting some attic, looking through boxes in the attic. There is one place that's sort of if you're trying to find stuff, there's one place where most of it is centered. This isn't mobile friendly at all, but this is for desktops, and pretty much everything is found from that page. If that's the page, if you're trying to find stuff, that's the page to start. But it doesn't work on mobile. It was all built before the iPhone came along. But that's the entrance point, that one that says the front there. If you've ever got nothing to do for 10 years, that's the place to try and kill time. Cameron can bring it over in his spare time. Cameron doesn't have any spare time anymore. Cameron spent most of yesterday sitting next to Sugi-san. She's doing the printing now on the Times Burn Bright image. And Cameron's mission is to catch it, video it, every step of it. No, not 60 minutes in every hour, but he's got to catch every color. We're making a process video. So he's got to catch her putting the pigment on each block, brushing it out on each block, pulling the paper out of the pocket, just whatever. So I don't know, it's his first video, so I don't know what the quality's going to be like, but anyway. We've got to start to hand off some of those jobs, so he's going to be doing the filming for this next video. Editing, I don't know, we'll handle that when we get to it. Well, you ask me, is it hard for someone else to do the filming? It depends on what we want. Up to now, because I've done all the videos myself, I've just simply done it my way. There's been no conflict. But now Cameron's trying to help me with this, which is a good thing. But of course, there's two ways to do it. I'm supposed to tell him everything to do. You will do it this way or else. That's not a good way to do it. So let him explore, let him figure out what's going on. So the video will look different, I guess. And it's up to me to learn how much to control and how much to let go. If sort of it doesn't look any good to my viewpoint, then he and I will have to work out. Either he's going to have to change and follow my instructions, or I'll have to change our concept of what's acceptable. I don't know, we're going to play it by ear. As with every part of our job here these days, I have to let go of this bit by bit, by bit, by bit, We've let go of some of the carving. That last set of blocks for Times Burn Bright, it was carved by Chon-san. He's doing just as well or better than I did, with a couple of small exceptions about the depth, like we were talking about yesterday. But it's okay. I can't do everything here myself forever and ever and ever. So bit by bit, we let go of these things and they change for the better or worse or whatever. So this next video, the one about the process printing on Times Burn Bright, will, I guess, be different from our previous ones. I hope it won't be worse, but I don't know. Yeah, Cameron has a bunch of photography experience. In fact, he's got a website, a personal website. You know, his pictures, him and his wife are both, they consider themselves, what's the expression? He's probably listening here, so I don't know. I think they consider themselves, you know, high quality amateur photographers, something like that, you know, whatever. Amateur photographers with a nice sense for taking good pictures and stuff. Both he and his wife have a website with their work on it. So it's not like he's not familiar with the camera. So technical competence here is not an issue. It's just a question of style and what we want to show and how we're going to show it. And for me, over the years, taking these videos of people printing, there's a background because I'm a printer. I know what to look for and what's going to happen next and how to do this. And Cameron doesn't have that experience. Anyway, whatever. It's just a video. I have no idea where this one ends. It's just scraps of little dots here showing where that hair should be. It doesn't matter. Let's just roll it in. This is now empty. Okay, looks okay. All right, coming up, just coming bit by bit by bit. Right. This part's tough. There's some funny sideways marks in there. I don't know what he's done. I think he's tried to show hairs that were tangled over each other. I'm not quite sure. It's about guest time here today. There won't be any guests on the stream today here. I'm here by myself. It's a Saturday, the weekend. Cameron won't be here, he's at home. And Raychan's not on today. She's almost never on weekend staff. Today will be Kawai-san and Koizumi-kun, and they'll be here, I guess, usual time around 9:15, 9:20 or so. We might be getting a hello from Ishikawa-san, because I think she's working upstairs today. I'm not quite sure. So basically it's just me here today. Yeah, lots of dark streaks in this black mass, so there's clearly many more hairs cut out than we have visible here. I've got to try and infer where they are supposed to be. I think there's one here, I'm not quite sure. Deliveries now, the restaurants and bars and stuff get their beer and stuff delivered early. It's the weekend and you can't bring heavy trucks down the street during the day. It's just impossible. So at this time of day, it's deliveries. The kimono rental shop next door gets their deliveries from the washing place that has washed all the underwear and stuff. The oyster shack next door gets their drink delivery, kegs of beer and stuff like that. There's another long, thin one here. Oops. There's a long, thin shadow here. I think this here. Cut here. think that's it for this here. I think I saw can go black here. Questions. Blah, 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 blah. Letting go, Cameron video. Okay, we covered that, I think. What's up? How was this week for the shop? I'm not sure. This week, whatever July set records, it was our biggest month ever. Absolutely better. The shop in the evenings has been mixed. Last night there was nobody in at all. Absolutely not. I just sat here doing work on my computer. Some days there's lots, some days there's not. I haven't got a really good idea of a pattern yet. Weekend evenings do seem to be busy, Saturday and Sunday. We'll find out more about that tonight. I don't know. We're exploring as it goes. This is a tough little one, this ball of hair here. It's hard to see where the lines go. Not sure what that looks like. Let's see. Friday night, last night, yeah, there was lots of people around. I know we did a few sales last night. I forget, around 8 o'clock, 8:30. It was worth staying open, absolutely. If I were, I mean, I'm doing this myself as a test, but if we were hiring staff or something, absolutely, I'd hire staff. It was worth it. Enough people came in to chat, and there were enough sales last night to make it worth actually physically opening, if we can work out to get staff for it. So clearly, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night are going to be absolutely important for us in the new venture here. Weeknights, I'm not quite so sure. It depends on the weather. It depends on everything. And the problem is going to be getting staff who can do this in the evenings. At the moment, we've got 2 boys, Kawai-san and Koizumi-san, who have expressed interest in working evenings, but they certainly can't do it every night. So I don't know. Right, I think that last little blob should just be all colored in, I think. Not sure, there's one stripe in the middle of it there. Let me get that. There's one gray stripe here. Let's catch that. One side, the other side. Okay, the rest of it now I think it's colored. Again, do we have a mathematically perfect reproduction of the original? No, because I can't see what's on the original. There's too much paste glommed into those hairlines. Do we have what we think is an attractive batch of hair? Yes, I think so. Let's see. Let's pop up the block, shrink her down. All right, there's our hair. We haven't done the forehead line yet. That's next. I think we're okay. I don't see any great anomalies. There's a couple of places where it crisscrosses. They didn't do a lot of crisscrossing in this book. Crisscrossing takes time and energy, and for a book like this, their job was just to blow it out quickly. Some of this looks a bit uneven, but I guess the knife itself, my knife will cut these lines where it wants to cut them. Look at that. We're going to fix that. That's not good. Looks better. Yeah, there's a few bits and pieces of roughness. I think also you're seeing, oh, look at that. Yeah, on your screen, you're seeing much more, what's the word? It's much more pixelated on your screen. Much more pixelated. Whether that's the video or the compression or the communication between the iPad and the Mac, I don't know. Anyway, there we are. There's the main body of the hair. Okay, let's get up close to the line. Say, what time's it now? 9:03. Maybe we can, let's see, let's draw ourselves a boundary line. This is an artificial line here. We'll work up to this line. And actually we still have a few curves in here, I see. So, that's for today, so I better take a look at it. Excuse me a second. Party reservation for today. It's for 1 o'clock, group of 2, so they're going to have 3 parties today. They're going to be full, the 2 boys doing it today. That's the way the parties go, reservations come in on the same day. People who've been, they're sitting in their hotel, I guess, trying to decide what to do with their day in Tokyo, their last minute planning. They either knew about us in advance and they just wanted to check, or they've just discovered us. They've looked in their Lonely Planet guidebook or Googled or something to do in Tokyo. It happens more often on rainy days that people make last minute reservations. And in the in the page of our parties, I've put in the background of the page, rainy day activity in Tokyo is in the text there, hoping that Google would pick that up. And it seems to have done so. If you Google rainy day activity in Tokyo, we're in there without being too far down in the search results. I think that helps us quite a bit. Google really is our friend, both through the Google searches and YouTube. Google is the place that everybody loves to hate and to say bad things about, but my God, our business depends to a huge extent on how they help people find activities. And whether it's a mistake having our business model depend so much on them, I don't really know sort of what option I have. You can't kick away that support. That support is important to our business, but the more the support is there, the more you get depending on it. We don't seem to be too dependent on Facebook, at least when we're talking to people in the shop. Hi, how did you find out about us? We hear about YouTube videos, we hear about Lonely Planet recommendations, we hear a bit about TripAdvisor. People say, I saw you on TripAdvisor. The number one is really videos. They've seen our YouTube videos and decided to stop by in Japan when they came to the country. And I rarely hear people say, I've been following you on Facebook. In fact, basically, we never hear people say that. So maybe that's just a background thing that happens, that we're not discovered on Facebook. It's that once people know about us, they might follow our Facebook page, but it's not a discovery. Whereas YouTube is a discovery. The YouTube system recommends our videos to people who haven't seen them. The stuff that pops up on the right-hand side when you're watching a video. So YouTube is a discovery mechanism from our point of view. And recently, we've been hearing more and more and more about the airplane videos, the movie about us that's playing in the airline seatback systems. It's all over the place now. It's on KLM, Air France, Delta, Cathay Pacific, Vanilla Air. What was another one that I heard yesterday? A new one I hadn't heard before. I can't remember. Now, Korean Air, somebody said. I'm not sure if that's correct. I didn't think. Maybe they're affiliated with KLM or something, so that the videos are the same. I don't know. So to ignore the stream there, excuse me. I drew the bush already. Do you guys ever Google yourself? Talking to me or other people? The Google said we don't, here in Hong Kong, we don't do the search engine optimization thing, the SEO thing. We don't do anything like that. We don't try and game the system. We don't try and get more hits, whatever. We do it now. What are you going to do, So we just simply do our stuff. We make our content, we put it out. It seems pretty good, I'm not interested in trying to buy. We don't pay anything for Facebook at all. Whatever Facebook we've got here is 100% what's called organic. We never pay extra to have a Facebook page boosted or something. And maybe it costs us. Maybe if we start paying, it'll send the post to more people. I don't know, but I don't want to get into that business. I don't want to either have ads running on my content, and I don't want to buy ads. Not because I'm stingy. I just don't want to. I don't want to have my stuff put in front of people's faces like that. You know, here. I've paid. Come and look at me. You know, I don't want to do that. Okay, where are we now? We're getting down to the edge of this here. So let's try and delineate the last point where the hair comes up. And those of you who have been following us know now that it's now decision time for Dave. I've got to decide what to do about this hair. There's two ways to go. And I meant to bring a prop down this morning to show you so I could talk about this. And I forgot to do that. I really do want to show you this. So, okay, can you give me a minute while I go upstairs to fetch a print that is a good prop for what I want to try and explain next? I've got to run upstairs, get a print. I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, excuse me. Actually, standing up and walking around has brought up another issue, so just a minute. Here's the bit. Back in a minute, hang on a second. Where am I? Beam me up. Yeah, the fireman's pole. It's just right here too. My room upstairs is just above this. And give me a break. Give me a break. Okay, what we've got here. This is a print made by the Adachi company. It would be back in the, I don't know, it's pre-war. It's late 20s or early 1930s. It's back near the beginning of when Adachi company was making stuff. And this is one of the most, we've talked about, I think I use the same words every time I show this print to people. It's one of the most glorious creations of mankind. No exaggeration. It's a reproduction of an Utamoto print. The original would have been made in about 1790. This version, as I said, would be made in about, let's call it 1930. I don't know exactly. It's better than the original. It's way, way, way better than the Edo period original. The Edo period original was slapped out, banged out, banged out, banged out. The Adachi Toyisa-san told his boys, just go for it. What this needs is actually to put a microscope view under this. I'm going to try and point out the important point about this. The hair is carved delicately. So should I zoom in or pick up the print? I'm not sure which to do. Let's see how far it will focus here. I think maybe we can do this without focus. Excuse me just a minute here. Let's see how far we can go in before it loses focus. I think we're okay. Good, look at this, look at this, look at this. Okay, a few things about the hair. One, the crisscrossing. That's on different blocks, so don't panic about this. Those hairs you see coming out are on a different block. So this is not delicate crisscross work. What we're looking at here are the individual hairs that come out. And you probably can't see that, but what we're looking at is there's a base block carved here with delicate gray. It's the same gray that is, her eyebrow and her eye are on the key block. They're a basic gray, and each hair, one by one, is on that block. Now up here, we have a black block, and the same hairs are carved on the black block, just a bit shorter. So the black block, the hairs come down to about somewhere around there where my finger is. Can you see it, where the color changes on this? So it's black, 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 and now we're picking up the color on the gray, 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 the underblock. So this whole hair mass is carved twice. Once on the key block and once on the hair mass block. And they've done it so that they all line up perfectly. You can see a bit of it here, right? See the black block, where there's one, where they didn't get them perfectly. The black comes down, you can see sort of the edge of a line here. Now this is insane. The original is nowhere near this good. It's just absolutely insane. Now look in the bottom of your screen, towards the bottom, to where this reproduction of the Hokusai book is. And you can see what they've done here. They've done it differently. The Hokusai book, the octopus picture, there's the delicate gray block underneath. You're seeing it at the bottom of your screen here. And then on top of it, the black hair mask comes down. And because it was a cheap production, they didn't try and line up the hairs one by one by one by one. He just said, chuck, 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 chuck. It looks like about something around 2 to 1. And I don't think there's even any attempt to line them up. There might be. They might be sort of lined up there. It's about 2 to 1. So, what are we going to do here? Am I going to carve what I see 2 to 1, call it okay? Or am I going to say, look, let's dial it up here. Let's do what we see on this Utamaro. Now here we are. I've actually got some experience with this. Was that Kawai-san outside? I think it is. He's getting ready. He must be getting towards time. I've got some experience with this, because if we take this tomato print, I actually myself, back in 2000 and... When was it? When did I do my Beauties of Four Seasons print? I don't know, because for my Beauties of Four Seasons, I reproduced this tomato print. Here's my work. This is actually not the finished print here. This is... Let me get it out of this folder. Excuse me a minute. This is this. Here's my reproduction version, and here's the key block. Key block is carved pretty cool, very, very, very nice. And what I did was I carved again the overlaying hair block, but back in 2004, whatever it was, I didn't have the skill to be able to print them carefully. So look at this. You can see I could carve it. I've lined them up one by one, one by one, one by one, but I didn't have the ability to print it in a way that that dark block became invisible. So for my version, you can see the gray hairlines at the bottom, and you can see the line where the black one goes at the top. I just didn't have the ability to print as good as I could carve, as well as I could carve. Let's go back to the original again here. That's not the original. Where's the original? I buried it here. Here's the original. Gray and black blending together so well. And here's my copy, gray and black, with a physical line where you can see the black. And we've still got those blocks. And you know what? At some point, we've got to have a try at printing that again, because the blocks are ready, just waiting for a printer. So my color version, the one with all the parts together, where is it? Here it is, it looks like this. So this is my color version. Good morning, Kawai-san, how you doing? Say hello to the stream here.
Hi.
You're off right here, but number 10. Today, three of us, you and me and Koizumi-san?
あ、そうです。
そう OK、
はい、
今さっき音楽でパーティーをよくまだ入ってます。It doesn't seem to be a gradation. There's no wiping on here. What they've done is they've just carved so finely, and they've carved in a three-dimensional way that the thing has a natural gradation. And I really don't know. I mean, this is what I struggled with. まだ書いてない。
この浅草ってあれ浅草寺の。
浅草寺です。そう。リピーターです。すごい大事な客です。
あ、そうです。
もうジェッツさんの作品全部持ってる人です。第一パーティーは浅草寺です。
10月？
違う、じゃあ、パソコンにまだ入ってないかもしれない。Here。今日、8時58分、ようやく入ってます。今日の1時のパーティー2人。多分まだメール届いてないかな、向こうのパソコンに。Anyway, like Ken is saying here, they're quoting me, whatever. You know what's going on here, of course. This is just all a lead up to the whole conversation. Of course, we're going to try carving these one by one. Of course. The thing is, though, that after I've done so, I may end up with a visible line. But look at this, in Hokusai's book, they've also got a visible line. So whatever, we're going to do what we can do. We're going to carve it. Tell you what, there's not too much I can explain here. When we carve these thin hairs, well, I explained it on the Twitch stream when I carved this first set of hairs for these. The thin hairs, they get thinner towards the end, but they also bevel off the top towards the end. So it's not just getting thinner, which gives them the gradation feeling. They slowly bevel down, which means they part from the paper bit by bit by bit. And then when you're printing it, if you use just about the right amount of pressure, it comes out nicely. If you use too much pressure, it pushes the paper into that beveled end and you lose all the gradation. So if I do decide to carve these hairs one by one to match the thin ones, it's going to very much up the game for the printers. Very much so. And they're probably actually not going to be all that happy about this because it means there will be more spoiled copies of these prints. There we go. Okay, so. There's the original, and there's my reproduction. And seen from a distance, my reproduction is nice. I've done a very good job on the colors and the tone and the tint, and the hair carving is to die for. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to print it delicately enough. When you see it from a distance, it looks better. But this Adachi print from 1930 or so is an absolute masterwork, something to die for. That whole story should be a video of its own one day, I guess. David's Choice video or something, I don't know. Let's put this away. This is the one we love to talk about. I think every time I bring this out, I tell the same sort of, not episode, I tell the same sort of little joke. If there's a fire here in this building, I can only grab one print. I think maybe this is the one I would grab because this is really, it's an astonishing object. It's just an incredible object. The paper is smooth and soft. There seems to be no sizing in it, and we don't have any idea how they managed to print this kind of color with no sizing. I don't know. It's full of mystery and it's full of beauty. Okay, there we have that. All right, here's our, verification, no, thank you. So here's our situation. It's now 9:24. It's time to wrap this up, but you can see where we're at. The hair mass is now mostly done. We're now going to come around and do the final delicate hair. And I guess that's going to be tomorrow's tracing. I don't think so, because I'm way behind on the sizing. I think almost certainly I'll be upstairs tomorrow doing sizing on a batch of paper. And then after that, it will have to be this. We're getting there step by step by step, bit by bit by bit. Okay, let's wrap this up. I've got to get into the shop. There's 3 of us on duty today, one of which is me. The current plan is for rehearsal of my video this afternoon and this evening. I don't know when to do it. Tomorrow morning, video or sizing or tracing. I don't know. Thank you very much, guys. See you when I see you. Try and get this all under control. Thanks for your patience on the next video. Thanks for your patience on the octopus. Thanks for your patience on everything. See you later. Good day. Signing off here. Thank you. The printers are not going to like this, but you know, that's what we're going to do. Okay, gang. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.